Tyler, let's just start with this. Where does this myth that marriage will fix it come from? And why do you think it's such a widely held belief going into marriage?
Trevor, culturally, I think we want it to be true. We're called into relationship from the very beginning, Adam, Eve, and we often tell our youth, wait for the right person, save yourself for marriage. And then with that, there's a bit of an assumption that things will be perfect, bliss. And while those statements, that guidance is healthy, um, it's not always reality. And it can set us up with an unrealistic expectation.
That's really funny. I wish I could like show our whole audience, but I literally wrote the word bliss on my notes because that's the word that came to mind.
It's awesome.
Like we look ahead at marriage and we tend to see, and this is human nature, we see like the best of it. Like this is going to be great. I get to live with my best friend, be around him all the time. We can have sex whenever we want. It's just going to be this fun, wonderful, never-ending adventure. And we don't look at the reality that relationships are hard, people are messy, things take work. Not only do I bring the best of myself to the marriage, I bring the worst of myself, and so do they. And when the shadow side of my life interacts with the shadow side of my spouse, is like things get hard in a hurry, and we just have a really hard time thinking about that before marriage. And so we can have this myth of like, man, everything bad in my life is just going to get better. And we certainly don't want people thinking that marriage is bad or you shouldn't get married, because there are wonderful things about marriage. There are great things that happen in us, but a lot of the best things happen because we really put in some hard work, not because everything is just easy and blissful all the time. And so I think that's just the myth, is we feel like, well, man, if I'm in a state of life right now, especially if we've been, as Tyler mentioned, saving ourselves for marriage, wanting to have that be the only person that we're sexually intimate with, it just feels like I'm going from a state of singleness to marriage. Like this is going to be perfect. But we are not able to anticipate all the challenges that come along with living day to day with another human being.
Yeah, I think too, going into it, there's an assumption that my struggle with lust, pornography, sexual brokenness solely has to do with sex. And I think that that contributes to this myth significantly. That if only I had sexual release or someone that I was able to have sex with more often, and that it be under, God's like banner of acceptance, that somehow, all of those things would go away. And I know that was for me, getting into marriage. I thought, oh, surely this is just, I'm not having sex problem, not there's something else going on much deeper. And so I know we'll unpack more of that as we get into the conversation, but I know for me, that is the main reason why I carried this myth going into marriage.